do philosophy of mind, and I'm here to tell you to mind the mistake today. And it's a very specific mistake, and it's one that has been diagnosed a while ago, I think, but it's still being made by many lay people, but also by professional philosophers, my colleagues, and had been made by me until recently, but now I've seen the light, and I'm here to help you avoid this very mistake. It's a very simple mistake, so it's easy to explain. It comes up, or it originates with claims like these. People say, she has a brilliant mind, or he is out of his mind. And some people say that they can move objects with their mind, right? So this prompts philosophers to ask, so what is the mind, right? What do people mean when they say the mind, or what should they mean? Also, what's the relation between the body and the mind? So there's the mind-body problem with many relevant questions surrounding that. And what I'm here to tell you is that the mind-body problem is actually based on a mistake. It doesn't exist. It's only there because we're making a mistake. And I'm going to tell you which mistake it is. And it was introduced and it was diagnosed already by this guy, Mr. Ryle, sitting on his lawn chair, as the British philosophers were wont to do at that time. And he said it's a category mistake. Of course, many of you, at least the philosophers or the professional ones, know what a category mistake is. But just, show of hands to get you warmed up. Who of you would say that they could explain what a category mistake is? I'm going to do my examples anyway, but it's good to know that they're going to be useful for many of you, okay? Okay. So first example, both of these are from Ryle himself, by the way. These are just examples of category mistakes in general, not the one that I'm going to be talking about. First example is you take your brother, who's not very good with categories, on a trip across campus, a university campus. You start off with philosophy faculty, and as you keep walking, you pass the faculty of law, and you end up with medical sciences. But then when you get back to faculty of philosophy, your brother asks, so I've seen all these buildings, but where's the university? Right? He's making a category mistake. He expects the university to be just one of those buildings, which obviously it's not, right? There's a wrong category here. Another example from Ryle is, again, your brother comes back from the store, right? And you ask him, what did you buy? How many things did you buy? And he says, I bought 3 things. I bought a left glove, a right glove, and a pair of gloves. I say, no, again, so these things shouldn't be together in one list. You're making a category mistake, and because of that, things go awry. So this is a category mistake. Got maybe one last hint for you. It's a joke. What 10-letter word starts with gas? It's an automobile. See how there's different categories, right? So, I mean, the joke's not very good, but it shows how, different categories are cracking up. Okay, so these are category mistakes. Now, before I can tell you now there's a category mistake being made with mind, I need to tell you what category I think mind should be in, right? So, of what category is mind such that other people then making a category mistake? And in order to explain to you what type of a thing mind is, I'm going to draw an analogy between doing sports and being minded. So I'm going to equate these two with examples. And I got plenty of those. So doing sports, what do we mean with doing sports? This entails doing one or many of a whole selection of different types of activities. For example, a city bike time trial, which I participated in, right? So you could say this is sports, right? But you could say I'm doing sports. But at least when Laurens ten Dam does it, that's sports, right? So he's doing sports, a specific activity, cycling. It's one of the things that we would call sports. Likewise, Usain Bolt, smiling because he knows he's won, right? He's doing sports. This guy, Jae-dong, the tyrant, beating one of his opponents, right, in a competitive game of StarCraft, many people would say this is sports. It's a different type of sports, e-sports, right? Right? Yeah, cool. Sports nonetheless. So what I'm saying is that doing sports is a label. Sports is a label for a selection of activities, a range of activities. Likewise, I'm going to say, being minded, doing mental activities, is a label, and I'm not the first one to say this, it's a label for a range of mental activities. And some people, again, would say that Jae-dong, the tyrant, beating his opponents, right, is also doing mental activity. So this is an activity that will be labeled both sports and being minded or a mental activity. Likewise, of course, for chess, famous example, many student associations, chess associations, fighting to be included in the Student Sports Association, right? People say, well, chess sports or not, I don't know. It's a matter of convention, doesn't matter, but many people do agree that playing chess is at least a mental activity. It requires some mental, activity. Of course, experiencing pain, thinking, contemplating, right? These are prime examples of what we would say in mental activity, right? So being minded at least includes the bottom two and arguably the top two as well, right? So the point of this analogy is that we do a whole range of activities, right? And some labels we use to categorize these activities are doing sports, right? The label sports includes some of those activities we do. Being minded includes some of those activities as well. Some of these overlap, and of course there's many other activities, right? Go shopping includes lots of other activities. So I've drawn an analogy between doing sports and being minded. They're both classes of activities, labels we use for sets of activities that we perform. I've also told you about category mistakes, so now I can explain to you the mistake that's being made in philosophy. To this day, that's why I'm telling you, right? Let me introduce you to two categories. One is things you can have, the other is things you can do. Okay. Things you can have include a bike, all right? Things you can do include cycling. So these two should be I guess you'll agree that these should be in those categories. Okay, I can have legs, and I can go running, for example. I can have a brain, and this allows me to do many cool things like play chess or think, right, or experience pain or whatever. Probably other parts of my body are involved with experiencing pain as well, but a brain at least enables some of those. More generally, or more abstract, from a more abstract perspective, we could say that things you can have include a body, and what you can do with body, like are, for example, sports. But now, of course, here comes the point. This is it. Where would you put mind in these two categories? Many people say, put it there, we've got a mind and we've got a body. And our mind and our body enable us to do stuff. And this, of course, I've been telling you, this is a mistake. Mind should be there. It should be minded. It's something other than sports. Like sports, it's a type of activity that we can do with our bodies. So mind, indeed, this echoes what Naomi said this morning, like to a large degree. Mind is something we do. It's not something we have. Right? We don't have minds. We're being minded. So I would also say we don't have a thought. We're thinking. Right? It's put it in the right category. And this has a tremendous. This entails a lot, of course, because looking back at these two guys, Laurens and the guy thinking, we wouldn't ask of Laurens, what are the properties of his sport? That would be a silly question, right? If someone asked you this question, you'd say, this question doesn't make sense. Likewise for, how can his sport be causally efficacious? How is this sport causing him to ride his bike? Silly question. What's the relation between his sport and his body? Again, silly questions, but these exact same questions are being asked of the mind in philosophy of mind to this day. So Naomi agrees. Okay, so the point is, there is no mind-body problem, and the take-home message is right there. Mind is something we do, not something we have. All right, so I hope you can now mind the mistake. Thank you very much.